Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, let's see. The title of my talk is Setting Healthy Goals. And as God often provides examples along the way, I always say, God, please prepare me for this talk. And so I'm always careful what my title is, so that as God's preparing me, that I don't get beat up too much along the way. I would say probably about a month and a half ago. I think I've said this, but for those of you who don't know, I'm, I guess, semi-retired. I took retirement back in November at an early age, and I got out of the food industry, so now I just do my speaking, my teaching, meditation. I lead my retreats, doing exactly what I love to do, and I'm so grateful for it. So about a month and a half ago, I was at home, and I didn't have any talks for, if I miss 2 Sundays in a row, it makes it 3 weeks before I have anything. I had finished some of the classes that I was teaching. I really didn't have anything going on. So I thought, man, I don't want to just turn on the TV. I know you might, Ray, but I didn't. Right. I watch plenty of TV too, my wife and I do. So I thought, no, I don't want to just do things that are going to distract me. I really want to be present. And I started listening to my teacher, Muji, online. And I was reading a book by Robert Adams, who was an awakened teacher. And I'm just really diving deep for about 4 or 5 days. And I'm getting to this place of just really, in fact, the one day I'm just like, whew, I'm home. I just felt myself home. I had awakened and just was a witness to all of life going on. And I was just laughing, actually, because I thought, it's so freaking easy and simple on one hand, but because we're pulled into this idea of who we think we are, it distorts everything of life, and that's what they call Maya, the grand delusion, right? Being pulled into this false sense of self and believing it to be true. So I'm just experiencing this deep peace and beauty, and I'm noticing that my heart is beginning to flutter. And I wasn't feeling good from it, and I knew there were some concerns with it. That night I went to sleep, and in my dream, there was somebody that came in my dream, and he said, "Don't go to the 7th level. That's very, very dangerous." I knew what he meant. I knew he meant the 7th chakra, which is the point of awakening, fully awakening. And so, and then later on that night, I got another message, and it says, "Your heart's like a ticking time bomb." So it caught my attention, needless to say. I woke up about 4:30 in the morning and just not feeling well, and new to this thing called AFib. I really was concerned for my life, for my well-being. I didn't really know what was happening. And although my sister had gone through it and passed about a year and a half ago, my mom went through it. She died about a year ago, although she was 84. And then my brother has it, and I had not had this experience except via hearing what they had to say. So I was concerned with it, and I'm like, well, the only thing I know to do is just to keep being aware of my thoughts that say, oh man, I could die, or I could get hurt really bad, or, whatever the mind, it wants to pull out all these things about what could possibly happen. And that was fine. I didn't fight it because there's no reason to fight it. The mind's going to present things, and it's okay that the mind does present things as long as we're not being pulled into them as if they're the truth. And that's quite often, of course, what we do. So what ended up happening for me is I was noticing every time I would start to watch my teacher, I would start doing spiritual work or meditate in some way, all of a sudden my heart was just it was just off kilter. And I knew what was going on. I was over-spiritualizing myself, And a friend of mine who was my mentor way back when in a medical intuitive, he said to me, a while back, he said, Brett, he said, stop doing so much spiritual stuff all the time and just live your life, He said, he goes, I'll tell you honestly, what you do spiritually, he said, I give you an A+. You're far better than I do it. But start living your life, And I heard him, but I don't know that I was ready to give it up. I was so, I'm so practiced on healing and growing and gotta, awaken, and that's where true joy is, which is true. But I was realizing more and more God was giving me this teaching that said, Brett, slow down. Just slow down. I've got you on this. Why are you going through this rampage and trying to force something to happen? Can you not just be patient and allow timing to unfold the way it needs to unfold? So it's a teaching for me. I feel like like an infant in many ways because I've always been focused on healing and growing. I don't know if any of you ever read any of Dan Millman's work before. He wrote the book, A Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Sacred Journey of the Peaceful Warrior. Really a lot of great books. I went out to California to study with him for a retreat, and it was a courage intensive training, and we practiced fighting with plastic knives, attacking each other and defending ourselves, because he's like, are you going to stay rooted when somebody is coming at you? I'm not just talking about with a knife. I'm talking about metaphorically when they're coming at you. Can you stay rooted and grounded in your heart during that time? And so I was going through all this, and I lost my place. Let me just give this a moment, if you would. Well, sometimes I just have to let those things go, and maybe it's not meant to be shared. So my talk in setting healthy goals, it's, the theme, by the way, this month, if you don't know it, it's rolling up your sleeves. And so I was like, what does that really mean to me? And for me, it's almost about not rolling up your sleeves. And I don't mean to be counter to what the theme is, and yet at the same time, I want to be honest of what it means to me, because I see that I have rolled up my sleeves so many times that sometimes it's good also just to live life and be. And so the reason I was telling you about Dan Millman is because he wrote a book on numerology also. I'm a 24/6, if any of you follow numerology, and that meant vision and acceptance. I have wonderful visions, and this is the positive side, but there's always a shadow side why we're here, right? As to what we need to get to that place to come to, live our visions and to come to a place of acceptance. The opposite of acceptance is judgment, and I have had plenty of that. My mom was very, very critical, and I carried her voice in my head for many, many years. Love my mom. We worked through a lot of things. She was a beautiful teacher for me, and but it wasn't always easy. So we're at this retreat with Dan Millman, and he said that he's got another workshop that's going to be coming up, and he said, and so my number is 24/6. So he said, for all you sixes out there, just relax, just relax. And it was so true, because we were grouped together in our numbers, and I was sitting with all these sixes. We were all people pleasers. We didn't want to offend anybody, and we were going to do whatever it took to work on ourselves, because we were so dissatisfied in so many ways. We just wanted to be happy. So another workshop, yes, I'm in on that one for sure, But Dan, he just threw it out there. Sixes, just chill, relax, it's not here yet. So, in doing this whole thing, this quest about a month and a half ago, I just really went so deeply into it, and I got the flavor of what's possible, And it's like, well, why wouldn't I want to go back there, But it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky from the mind's perspective, because the mind says, I want to get to this place. The soul says, the essence of who you are says, you're already there. But you believe the mind when it says, I need to get there. And I need to do this to get there. And the soul says, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Let me just stay resting in this peace and truth of who I am. We can be pulled in so many different directions. There's nothing wrong with setting goals. There's nothing wrong with setting goals, but I will say this. I had this experience some time ago where I just got really clear I can manifest anything I wanted. It was like crystal clear to me. I can manifest whatever I want in my life. And so what I did is like, okay, well, I'm going for this. I'm going to get some more money. I'm going to get this kind of job. We're going to go on a nice vacation. So I had all these goals, and I put them all out there at one time, and I got hammered. I got hammered because the truth is there's a right and divine timing for everything. And what's also true is, look, God knows what right timing is for each of us. So we need patience. We need patience and trust that God is interested in us living a happy, joyful, peaceful life. And the reason we're all here is to awaken to the truth of who we are. That's the reason why we're all here. And we start at the beginning by collecting these names, and people say, you're good at music, you're terrible at math, and you start collecting all these ideas. That's the game of life. That's the game of life where you feel this separateness from God and from your true self. It's okay. That's how it was meant to be until you get to this point to say, wait a minute. There's got to be something more out there. And that's when it leads you to, the search and the seeking. The search and the seeking is wonderful. It's wonderful until you realize that what you are seeking, you already are. What you are seeking, you already are. You're seeking happiness. You're seeking love. You're seeking peace. That's the natural truth of who we are, but when I this month and a half ago, when I had this deep spiritual experience of just being awake, it was like if my soul, my essence, my God essence just stepped outside of me, this invisible being that is just pure awareness and is looking at Brett saying, oh, okay, I see Brett's trying to figure that out. Oh, okay, I see Brett wants to grow here. He's not happy there. Oh, I see Brett wants to get this job. I see Brett doing this. I see Brett has judgment about that. I see Brett, and it's just simply watching this person that is called Brett, this idea, this image. And this is where it's leading to. It's leading to where we can literally just take a step back energetically, this non-physical form that we just step away and we can witness all of it. It's like watching this beautiful movie. Now, you might say, well, it's my life. It's really not that beautiful. It really could use a different theme on the movie. But it's only not beautiful because our person has judgment, our mind has judgment of how it's supposed to look. That's all. But our essence doesn't need it to look any different than it is. It says perfect. God is giving us exactly what we need. So, getting back to goals, I would say this. Always have a primary goal. And to me, my primary goal is, Father, just help me to awaken to the truth of who I am. Everything else is secondary. Everything else. So once you start having that as your primary goal, then the universe will respond in kind. Now, in truth, for me, honestly, I don't need any other goals. I don't need any other goals because a lot of times, if you're putting other goals out there, it may be counterproductive in some ways. And it might be fighting against your awakening in some ways. So that's why, people are setting different goals, and one goal is asking them to awaken in this way, and the other goal is counter to that. Like we get into money, and we have so many issues around money, right? And so it might be something to do with our self-worth. It might be that, if we have money, money is dirty or filthy. It might be out of greed. There's just all kinds of things. So if you're going to set a goal, here's my suggestion. Take one goal. Just take one goal. That's it. And say, when I am complete with this, then I'll move on to something else. And don't do anything else with it. Because so many people have all these different ideas and goals of what they want to do in their life, and it's fighting the other goals. And quite oftentimes, people are getting very little accomplished because of that, because everything is butting up against each other. So when you finally get to the point where you just give it all over to God and say, you know what, I don't need any goals. Whatever you want to give me, you can give me. Then you don't have anything getting in the way, and things unfold very quickly. And it's very powerful to do it that way. But, look, we all have certain things that our person wants, our mind wants, says that this is what I need. It's okay. Go for one of the goals, whatever it is. But like I said, just keep it simple. But I would also say, the more you trust God and have faith that God is taking care of you, the less goals you need, because God knows what each goal you need to accomplish and will help you along the way as part of your awakening. It all flows in perfect harmony. My teacher once said, the path of the sage is ruthless. There simply are no boundaries. And let me just say, first of all, sometimes people need to make boundaries. If somebody's being abused or something like that, yes, set boundaries. That might be the first step you do. But then you get to a point where on this path, we're in a unity church, and most people are really ready to dive a lot deeper than a lot of the rest of the world is. You get to this point where you just say, you know what? God, whatever you want to bring me, you bring me. I trust that it's here for a reason. And I'll be honest with you, I have a little bit of AFib going on right now. I don't care for it, but I'm also, on my drive over here, as I'm experiencing kind of the fluttering of my heart, I'm listening to my mind, am I making the right choices? Is this dangerous? Is this, and I'm just noticing all those thoughts. And I just, when I was just talking to God, I'm like, thank you. I mean that. I mean that because I truly know in my heart it's being given to me to teach me, maybe to slow down or whatever it needs to teach me. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to allow it to teach me. It doesn't mean I'm not taking action on it. Yes, I am taking action on it for sure. And so, but God is really on our side. So as far as letting go of boundaries, that's just an invitation. If you get to the point where you just say, I'm ready to just give it all over to God. Because when I first did that, I'm like, okay, I'm going boundaryless. I don't need anyone to be any different than what they are. I'm just going to allow God to bring me whatever. And then I thought in my mind, if I don't have boundaries, what keeps the guy from just coming up and punching me in the nose, that's where my mind went with the whole thing. And so we have all these crazy thoughts to say, yeah, but if I don't have a boundary here or protection here, no. It's not how it works. God is not giving you something because you have a boundary or don't have a boundary. God is giving you the experience because God says, you are limiting yourself in this area, so I'm going to give you exactly what's needed to help you to awaken to who you are. Now, would I have not gotten AFib if I had a boundary? God, please protect my heart. Maybe, but I'll say this. If it wasn't here, it will be somewhere else. God will get the message through. I can guarantee you that. That I have no doubts with. I'm just trying to check in, see if there's anything else. I love being here, and I love sharing a message that I hope brings you hope. Because the truth is, who you are is miraculous. Who you are is divinity, it created in the likeness and the image of God. Created in the likeness and the image of God. That is true. And so we've played small in so many ways as to who we think we are. I'm inviting you to let go of all those stories, open your heart and say, all right, God, I'm ready. And on a scale from 1 to 10, maybe you're a 1, maybe you're 10. It's all good. Wherever you're at, it's okay. But it's in saying to God, I'm giving this over to you. I'm putting my trust in you. I'm putting my faith in you that you are going to lead me home. And whatever that looks like, it's all on you. And I'm thanking you for that. Thank you so much.